Thank you, Mr. Prashant, and also thank you so much to Indian Chemical News and Team Alaima for inviting us, giving us this opportunity to be here. And I think Sunil, during his started with the tone that this is a technical session. So I think both of us are only non-technical people here, and so we will not take much time. And very quickly, what we want to present or share our experience is more from an outside-in view, from how basis our discussions. But before I start, so we'll be talking about the outlook on specialty chemicals in India. So first of all, we are representing Business Sweden, which is basically the Swedish Trade and Invest Council, and owned by government of Sweden and also the Swedish trade body. So that means we basically work on priorities of government of Sweden and also for the industry sector. And we work very closely with Alaima. And it's a very small number spread across 40 countries. In India, we are in New Delhi and in the embassy premises and also in Bangalore. And 550 employees and over 45 years of experience. But the basic mandate is that to support Swedish companies wherever they are, in whichever country they want to go, right? Okay, so just to again touch upon what we do in broad sense. So what you see is we obviously cannot work in silos, so we work together with the entire might of the Swedish state, Swedish embassy, chambers, and also the other associated industries which basically help Sweden and other countries to export to the global market, right? And because of our role or how we are set up, we also participate in a lot of government-to-government discussions between the two countries. And just to give an example on aviation, we have started also with space, because that's the thing that we're hearing right now. And also in other sectors. And in also what we work and support the companies, Swedish companies, is mostly through advisory, through our sharing of knowledge and insights. So that's very little brief about us, and very quickly I will go to the next one. This is again a very outside-in view as I started. We all know that India, if you look at a global perspective, and historically there has been sort of large economic centers, what you see in the top three. But what we are seeing right now over the years is that emergence of India as one of the economic centers, not only India, the other regions also. And this is also coming from our discussions that we have on a daily basis with the regions and offices, with the companies who are situated across. So this is why we wanted to point out is that when we are all talking about a global slowdown in different parts, there is, I would say, a robust growth of 6 to 7% what India GDP is there. And this is also specifically important because this is a sector which has a lot of focus on exports from India. So I think positioning of India or emerging of India as a global economic center also in the long term will help. Okay. Some graphs, I think I will not touch upon the left one, this is just a number. I think what I would try to see is just to mirror an sentiment that the global investors have, right? Just I would take example from Mr. Ray Dalio, who is a global investor who has experience of mapping countries on which country they should prioritize, what is the health of the countries. They have their own in-house way of doing it. It's a public document. You can also refer if you are interested. So what he says is that in a health index of that they have mapped over the next 10 years, India scores on top and expected to be around 7%. That is, we anyway know it. But what he says in his way of speaking is that India has the right mix of ingredients and potential. So, I mean, in a simplified way, what we are trying to say is that from where we are, what we see is that some of the focus on the right mix of ingredients, that means focus on manufacturing, focus on infrastructure, logistics, focus policies on the sectors supported by demographic dividends, forex reserves and all that, which are already present there, so that it will overall help in taking India to the next, and wherever they want to go, I mean, being the third largest economy in that sense, right? And obviously the potential is there, specifically even if you talk about the chemical sector, we are seeing a lot of demand for domestic, and I think future, in the coming sessions, all this will be covered in more details. And so that's a little bit on the macro story. Moving on to the next one. Sorry. Oops. Yeah. I think this is something which everyone in this room will, I think, know or will mirror it, because this is, I think, also covered by Mr. Prashant during his presentation. So I won't spend much time. Is basically two things. One is we also, from our experience and discussions, we feel the whole sector is expected to grow to 2x by 2030. And if we are seeing that double-digit growth is there in the sector, in the overall chemical sector, so there is also an opportunity that India's, who has been consistently in the 3 to 4% range in the global share, there is a chance maybe that India, with, if all the things and structural changes are brought into place, then maybe there is a opportunity to capture maybe the share of the pie from around maybe 6 to 8%. But I think this is a very high-level view on it. But I would now hand over to my colleague Pritam, who will basically talk a little more about the specialty segment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hriday. Good morning, everyone. So we have looked at the macro story till now. So we interact a lot with the Swedish industry, ecosystem players, Indian partners. So particularly in the specialty sector, we have referred few of what the industry veterans, or we have taken course from some of the companies which are already present here, particularly for the specialty sector. So what we have seen, the sentiments are, there is a definitely opportunity for Indian companies due to the global headwinds. So we have the global disruptions that happen, and we have the, diversification which is happening from the China, and which is supported by the Indian government. So we see a lot of, or rather the company sentiments are seeing a lot of domestic demand, particularly to replace the imports and manufacture locally. We have companies looking to de-risk and diversify from the emerging geographies and see the specialty chemical sector as one of the growth for diversification going forward. And we see all this is going to be happen because of the investments in the downstream sectors, such as battery, electronics, and the new age sectors. So all in all, there's a lot of opportunities, but structurally putting how it is relevant for the Indian players. Some bit of numbers. So specialty chemicals is going to be one of the core sector for manufacturing. It's growing almost 11 to 15%, or it will grow at least in the double digit, and will touch 100 billion market by 2030. We see a lot of investments already going, and it will grow 60 to 70% year on year. Exports is it's the focus of the sector, capturing 50% of the exports in the chemical, and it's expected to grow at 8 to 10%. If we compare India with the other geographies, so with India is the only country which will grow double digit. So rest of the geographies like China will stay at 6 to 7%, Japan 1%, North America 3%. So what will enable this growth, investments and exports? So it's a mixture of 5 ingredients which Hriday has highlighted. So it's a feedstock availability, cost advantage from India, operations, talent pool, which is a very attractive for the global companies coming to India, readiness of the infrastructure, so for the downstream sectors, and what we also heard from the Swedish counterparts, the infrastructure, talent and supporting policies are going to be the core for every other sectors in the downstream, and which will also help specialty chemicals to grow. So 5 major forces that we foresee will play in the Indian context. So one definitely is the slow recovery of the global economic center. So we have seen North America, China slowing down. So which is the geography which is growing and will give the growth. So it is India. Second is companies wanted to de-risk. They don't want it to be tied down with the geographies they are traditionally been investing into or being promoted. So and due to the ongoing trade wars, geopolitical situations that we foresee, so they are looking to de-risk. There will be a rapid growth of the downstream sector. So this is the captive demand from the India along with the exports that will enable the overall sector to grow. Fourth, importantly, and particularly for the trend in the specialty sector is the shift in the customer preference for value-added products. For the downstream sectors, for example, cosmetics, foods, or textiles, electronics. And lastly and most importantly is the innovation sustainability. And from the Swedish perspective, so this is very much important to create the circular economy for the three things primarily. For the product differentiation, second is for companies to become and be future ready, and third is to compete at the global stage. So innovation sustainability is going to play a very important role in the specialty sector. Very quickly, so I think we already have the industry veterans, so I will not spend much time here. So some of the core segments or the traditional sectors, sub-segments in the specialty sector, agrochemicals, dyes and pigments and construction will continue to remain and give a good growth. But the other white space segments or the sectors or sub-segments we foresee going to give a growth are the electronics, flavors and fragrance, and the business critical application areas like carbon black, fluorochemicals, organic chemicals and chloroalkyl. So what companies need to do going forward? So we wanted to focus or rather on the 5 different major themes. One is to tap the global growth. It can be done by capturing the growing demand in India and expanding globally. De-risk and diversify for having a different mix of the sourcing partners or the markets. Expand into new and emerging product segments. Scale up with the available opportunities. So specialty being a very, closely monitored industry, any opportunity which comes up, it should be integrated and closely monitored across the value chain. Being operation and process heavy, so we should be mindful of the cost. So supply chain optimization, right sizing capacity, and the overall utilization is going to remain a key factor for players to be competitive. And lastly, innovation in the technology and sustainability is going to make the companies more future and compete at the global level. So this is all from our side. But thank you everyone for joining in, and we at Business Sweden look forward to closely work with the Indian counterparts and Swedish companies for the collaboration. Thank you.